Hi, welcome to the Yarning Podcast. My name is Amber. I'll be your host today, and you can find me at Ravelry or on Instagram at LadyAmberSkye, Skye. And you can find me on Facebook at Skye Castle Yarns. That's my dye shop. And let's get started. Today is September 17th, 2017. And sorry about the lighting. We got a new bed this last week, and so the old one's all pushed up against the wall and covering most of the windows, so you have this weird light thing happening here. But hopefully the next time I come to you that'll be better. But let's go ahead and get started. It's been a while since I've come to you, and so I have some things that I completed I unfortunately can't show you because they've been given away. A couple of baby nets that have already been sent off and that kind of thing. But I do have some things to show you, and let's get started. So we'll go ahead and get started with my finished objects. I only have one finished object to show you right today, but it is my Hermione's Everyday Socks. There you go. This was Hermione's Everyday Sock is by Erica Lender. Sorry, I probably butchered that, but very easily found on Ravelry. It's one of the top sock patterns, and I have been wanting to do it for ages, and I finally did. I don't know if you can see the texture, but the texture is amazing, and it goes all the way down the top of the foot. And only thing I wish I had done differently was put in a black toe, or excuse me, a black heel like I did my toe, but it is what it is. And these made them a little bit big. I probably needed to go down a needle size, but I will know for the future because this is one of the first pairs of socks I've knit for myself. I've been knitting socks for my kids, and I've been knitting socks for my husband, but these are my first pair for myself, and I love them. I adore them. The yarn is actually by me. I'll show you what the dye blank looked like. It was actually a sock blank I dyed up. And there's what it looked like. Got quite a bit left to put into my crochet blanket, which you'll see later on in works in progress. That will probably be a work in progress until my preschoolers are graduating college, because it is a king size crochet granny square blanket. But I have made some progress on it. And I do have one half finished object. These. Just a plain vanilla sock. I cast on 62 stitches, which is 2 stitches smaller than the Hermione Everyday Socks. These fit me much better. I do wish I had put a couple more rows in the foot, but I'm sure it'll stretch out. So these fit a lot better. I did not go down a needle size, but note to you guys, when you knit off of a sock blank, it comes off a little bit scrunched up because it was knit before, and so there it is. You can see the yarn is very squiggly, so it kind of makes your gauge a little bit bigger, and I think that's part of why my Hermione socks were so loose. The fabric, I still really love the fabric, and it's really squishy and everything, but it just made my gauge looser, so these ended up being much smaller than these. You can see the width of them, and it's only a 2-stitch difference. So in case you're knitting off sock blanks, or you get one of my sock blanks, which should be going in the shop in the next couple months, I would definitely swatch. Even if you have always knit socks the same way, I would definitely swatch, do a gauge swatch, and see if knitting off of a sock blank, if it's your first time knitting off a sock blank, if knitting off of a sock blank makes your gauge bigger, because it definitely did for me. I do want to go over real quick, because I'm sure I'll be asked where I got my sock blockers. These are placemats. This is a Batman placemat. I have a Superman placemat I haven't done yet. It's just one of those kids' plastic placemats. You can take a pair of socks and kind of trace around it, or you can take a sock blocker that you already have and trace around it. But you can get those placemats for like $1 or $2. And my feet are small enough I can get both off of one, but I have to use 2 placemats to get a pair for my husband because my husband has big feet. Most men, I think, have big feet. And then this one I just got at Hobby Lobby. It was on clearance. It's acrylic, but there you go. All right. Yeah, and so my works in progress, I don't have nearly as many, because one of them is a sweater. I think I showed you the sweater before when I just started. Now I'm in the body of the sweater. It's the sweater that I'm making for my mother. And in case you're wondering, I'm just drinking caffeine-free Coke Zero, but I'm drinking it out of my new Harry Potter cauldron cup, which is pretty cool. I actually got 2 of these. I got this one, which is better for drinking out of. And then I got like a soup bowl. It looks more like a cauldron. It's really cool. It's got a lid and a spoon. So that's my geeky acquisition for the week. Well, I also got some minifigs of Ruby figures, but they are not over here right now. So let's start with this work in progress. This is the sweater. This is Flax Light by Tin Can Knits, and it's growing nicely. This is Knitpicks Chroma Chroma Twist fingering weight in the Avalon colorway. And I actually do still have quite a bit of length to knit on it because my mother wears leggings, you know, LuLaRoe and Charlie's Project and that kind of thing. And so she would like it longer to cover her rear. And she lives in Oregon, so it gets cold there. So length and then long sleeves. So I have quite a bit to still knit on that. I'm actually on ball 2, but I have plenty more. Plenty more skeins of yarn to make sure it's long enough and make sure the sleeves are long enough. And then the other work in progress I've been working on nearly every waking moment is a sock. This is knit out of Aurora's cupcake, again from my shop. It looks like speckled. It's speckled, so it looks, to me, it looks like sprinkles on a cupcake, which reminds me of my daughter because my daughter loves sprinkles on everything. And it's not a happy birthday cake if it doesn't have sprinkles, apparently. But there you go. It just has this, it looks better when it's on, little like pinstripe detail, and that's on either side of the sock. And I'm doing an afterthought heel, and I got another couple inches on the foot, and then I can do the toe and put the heel in. But I am writing a pattern for this, and that'll be up on my Ravelry page soon-ish, whenever I can get it done. And then I got Knitpicks for the toe and the heel. This is Razzleberry. This Knitpick Stroll in Razzleberry, and so that will go with this. That is not focusing very well, is it? There we go. So yeah. And these are going to be for me too. That will give me 2 pairs of socks. I started this year totally planning on doing the box of socks, Cal, and I am down to 2 socks. So maybe I can get 10 done in 3 months? Probably not. I'm lying to myself. It would mean I have 1 full set done, and I have 1 half object, and when that one's done, it'll be a half object. So I'd need to finish those 2, and then I'd be at 3. Probably not going to happen. Though I'm probably not going to be doing Christmas knits for family. It just takes too long, and then I don't get any joy out of it. And if you're not getting joy out of knitting, why do it? So that's that. I have been doing other crafting. So I'm going to do a section that I call What the Craft. And I call it that because I'm a little bit of a craftaholic. I like to do a little bit of everything, from draw to paint to polymer clay to resin to everything. So I will show you what I've been doing. I have been doing these little polymer clay stitch markers. I don't plan on putting them in the shop. They're just fun. They do take quite a bit of time. But I like to decorate my knitting with them. Now I do plan on putting some stitch markers in the shop, but this is a type of stitch marker. Can't see that very well, can you? It's a little filigree heart. And you actually get one of these when you buy yarn from my shop. So you get one of these. But there'll be other ones that are more ornate, I guess, is a way to put it. And then I did this one. A little cauldron. Kawaii cauldron. And I actually just followed a tutorial on YouTube. Creative Rachi. Her name is Rachel, so it's Creative Rachi. She does tutorials on YouTube, and so I just followed one of those. And then this little dinosaur guy. And then I did a little book. I'm thinking about getting out my paints and writing spell on it or something and making it a spell book, but for right now it's a book. It's just a plain book. And that's what I've been doing. So, well, and then dyeing, of course. I've been doing a lot of dyeing. Oh, I am so sorry. I told you I would show you my granny square blanket. Excuse me, my granny stripe blanket, and I didn't do it. It's just sitting right here in front of me, and I didn't do it. There it is. Not a whole lot yet, but there's quite a few more rows than the last time I showed you. Oops, and it's upside down. Look at that. I could not tell you all the colors in here because I had a subscription to one of those subscription boxes that gives you 5 or 10 mini skeins every month, and so I have no idea what's in here, with the exception of this top one. This excuse me, it's not orange. It's green and brown. Well, it kind of looks orangey in some of the green and then some of the brown spots. That one I dyed. That one's mine. But the rest of it, I don't even have them labeled. They didn't really come labeled. You get a card that tells you what they all are, but I didn't keep those. And this is how I keep my mini skeins. Oh, the glare on that's terrible. You know, just like gumballs in a jar. And so when I'm finished a row or finish a color, I generally take one of my kids and have them pick a color and I just add it. So there is no rhyme or reason to it. It's just whatever they pick. And so if there's multiple colors near each other, then there's multiple colors near each other, and you know, no big deal. It adds to the spontaneity. So I want to go ahead and go into my acquisitions. Knitpicks had the 40% off book sale again, and I went a little crazy and bought a few books. I bought this one, Knit My Skirt by Candace Strick. Anyway, she tells you how to knit skirts, which is cool because I personally don't have a lot of long shirts, and so I like the look of skirts over leggings, and I have a bunch of leggings. So I plan on knitting myself some skirts so that I can wear them with my leggings, especially because it is Georgia. So here, I'm coming to you from Georgia, by the way. It is Georgia, and so doesn't get too super cold here, so I wear leggings year round. But I like to have a little thing covering my rear. I don't know. It's just the way I am. But I like the way that skirts look with leggings, and so I'd like to knit myself some skirts. And this book is interesting because it's not really a pattern per se. This is how you knit this type of skirt and plug in your measurements, and this is how you do it. So there probably is math involved, but I haven't spent a whole lot of time on it looking through it because I only got it a couple days ago. It came really fast. Knitpicks usually takes like a week or so, and it was like 3 days. Anyway, and then this book I got knitting patterns. It's The Beginner's Guide to Writing Knitting Patterns by Kate Atherley. It's supposed to teach me how to write patterns, which is something I'm interested in. And I'm going to start dabbling in, which means free patterns for you, which is always great. Because especially the first several times I do a pattern, I will probably just make it for free and no big deal. Call it my learning curve. And then I have seen this all over YouTube and Instagram, and this is the Pompom magazine anniversary edition. Different cover than it was I was expecting. I've only ever seen the alternate, or this is probably the alternate cover. I've only ever seen the pink cover, but it's the same book, and it's great. There's some great things in here. If I can find my favorite one. Right here. I love this tunic with the pockets. I think this would look great with leggings. It's the, I can't pronounce that. There you go. That's what it looks like. That's what it's called. Celida by Julia Farewell Clay. It's in Brooklyn Tweed, apparently. But it's gorgeous. And I do like it with the skirt too, so I don't know. If I knit a skirt that I really like, I might pair it with that, and I'd wear all knit. It might be a little weird. We'll see. And then there's these cute socks that are on the back. A little cable and pearl stitching, and they're really cute. But what I didn't realize, everybody was reviewing this book and saying it was awesome and amazing, and I finally gave in because, again, 40% off at Knitpicks. It's got a code inside. If you look in the front cover, and I won't show you my code, but right where my fingers are, there's a code in there, and you get the Ravelry patterns. So even if you're the type of person like me, I generally have a hard time buying books because I don't use the book for the patterns. I'd have to photocopy it because I like to keep the patterns in my bags, and I'm not going to tote a whole book around with me. And some of the books, like West Knits, you know, it's a big book. But inside here, you get that code, and then you get the Ravelry patterns in your Ravelry library, and then you can print them, or if you like to do it on your Kindle or your iPad, then it's right there. And you don't have to stress about photocopying it or scanning it or anything like that. So very cool. And then, of course, I'm really sad because it seems that Knitpicks is getting rid of their Stroll Glimmer. Not their Stroll, don't freak out, but the Glimmer one, the one with the sparkle in it. I don't know if you can see the sparkle. The white's really blowing out. So I got Stroll Glimmer White, because these are the only colors they had left. I got 2 Stroll Glimmer Whites and I got 4 Stroll Glimmer Pomegranate. You can kind of see the sparkle in there. But I like using the Stroll for my heels, toes, cuffs type thing, because I can have a whole stash full of all the different colors and not have to pull out my yarn and dye something that matches. Because with this sock, I got to the cuff, or got to the heel and realized I don't have anything that matches that. I need this color for the heels and the toes. And so I had to get out my yarn, skein up a mini skein, dye this color, let it dry before I could put in my heels and my toes. Which is why I started on the other sock, because I needed something to knit on. So I like having just that handy. And then the last thing I want, and that was it for acquisitions. A little bit of yarn, a little bit of books to read. And then the last thing I want to talk about, well, the last yarning thing I want to talk about is my shop. I got some new colors in, and so I've got this very autumnal one. It's yellows and oranges, and reminds me of fall leaves. It's gorgeous. And that should be up in the shop next week-ish. And then this one, blues and mauve and a little bit of purple. I have a lot of bright colors in my shop right now, and I thought, it's fall. It's not spring or summer anymore, so I needed some more muted. It's not the right word. They're still very vibrant colors, but Actually, I really like how those go together. That would make really awesome brioche right there. And then I have a few more going in the shop, but it's up in my studio right now. Fairy Boy, which is a Zelda reference. If you don't remember, I am a huge Zelda fan. Well, Doctor Who and Zelda, that one's a crossover. But, so I have Fairy Boy. So there's Midna in the shop, you know, from Twilight Princess. And Fairy Boy will be going in the shop probably next week. Maybe those will go in the next week after. We'll see. Depends on how much work my little boy lets me do. My daughter's in school now, but my son is still at home. So I have to kind of see how long he'll let me stay in my studio. Anyway, so that's what I have for you. The only other thing I really have left is suggestions. My suggestions for the week are actually not knitting related, they're very geeky related. I have realized I have not talked about an American anime show that I adore. It's called Ruby, RWBY, yeah. RWBY stands for Ruby, Weiss, Blake, and Yang. It's an amazing show. It's done by Rooster Teeth. And I bring it up because I believe it's October 14th, so less than a month from today, the new season comes out. So you have enough time to binge watch the whole season. All the seasons up until now, which is what I'm doing right now. So you may be seeing some Ruby-inspired colorways coming up because I am knitting and binge watching Ruby to rewatch everything up to the point that we are, so that when the new season comes out, I can start the new season with fresh knowledge, refreshing my memory, because I do like to watch anime. When the kids go to bed, I'll watch things like Fairy Tail and that kind of thing while I knit. And sometimes while I dye yarn. It depends on what the show is and if I feel it's preschooler appropriate, which a lot of them are not. But my daughter did get up in the middle of the night one night and saw an episode of Ruby, and now has decided she wants all the Ruby stuff. She told me she didn't have a Ruby doll yet, and so she needed one. So she has these little minifigs that are Ruby, because that's all they make. Come on, Barbie, get on board, make some Ruby dolls. Anyway, so that's all I have for you. I would love it if you would show me what you're working on and tag me on Instagram. Like I said, you can find me at LadyAmberSkye. If you happen to buy my yarn, please show me what you're knitting, what you're making, because that would be great. I love to see what people are doing with my colorways and the things that come out of your imagination. Color-wise, combination-wise, it's amazing to see other people's work. So please reach out. I'm there. I'm also on Ravelry, and I have made a Ravelry group for this podcast, but it's not super active, so I keep forgetting it's there. So please, if you make a note there, I will try to remember to get back to you. It does give me a little blip on my Ravelry page, which I am in a lot. If you want any more information about what I'm knitting on, what I've shown you, almost everything is in my Ravelry page. So if you see something on here and you don't see it on my Ravelry page and you'd like information, go into the group for this podcast and ask me, and I will try to update the information and let you know what's missing. If I remember, because there's some old stuff in there. I started crocheting before I started knitting, and so I still have crochet projects in there that I am not even sure where they are anymore. They have gotten lost in the ether. But one last note before I say goodbye, I have changed the podcast name from Sky Castle to Yarning, and I want to kind of tell you why. I do a lot of things with yarn. I love yarn. Fiber arts is my thing. I spin it, I knit it, I crochet it, I dye it. Obviously, I do a lot of things with yarn. And so my kids have stopped trying. My kids are 3 and 4. And they have stopped trying to figure out what I'm doing with it, and they're just calling it yarning. Mommy's yarning. So it's the Yarning Podcast, thanks to my children. So there you go. I've changed the name. It's officially the Yarning Podcast. And thank you very much for joining me. I know it's kind of a short episode. I tend to talk really fast. I'm sorry for that. But I'll probably have more as we go on, and I'm going to try to do this every 2 weeks. But again, I have a 3 and a 4-year-old, so it depends on if my husband can keep them quiet for a half an hour or not. So there you go. I will try to come back to you in 2 weeks, which means I believe that's in October. And hopefully I have a lot more to show you. So please reach out if you have any questions, if you want me to talk about anything in particular, have particular episodes, sections in the episode, leave comments down below, or go find me on Ravelry and leave comments there. And keep yarning. Bye.